Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here today for another quick take video. And this time I have in front of me here the Galaxy S10 Plus and the S10e. And rather than go kind of in a really in-depth comparison here, I just want to quickly talk about my 5 days here with the Galaxy S10 Plus, and then really just kind of thoughts on how it varies compared to the S10e here, which I think is a really great phone for a certain person. But as to kind of the reasoning why I ended up getting this phone, and then ultimately which of these two I'm probably going to keep. So let's just jump down here. We'll kind of quickly go through the laundry list, but not as in depth as usual. And then I'll kind of just share my thoughts here at the end, and really just share which one I think is the better option. So S10 Plus, I've had it for 5 days. It's a terrific phone, and I think design-wise, it is really the culmination of what Samsung has been wanting to do on their S line of phones. Now, the Note, line is kind of their more expensive brand, and it's really becoming like the new flagship of Samsung, like the ultra flagship. Meanwhile, the S10 series is kind of more for all everyday users and kind of for the general public. But the reality is the prices on these phones have gone way up. And so, as you know, this phone I got for around 856 US dollars, or 6,700 Hong Kong dollars. And this S10 Plus, it is a beautiful phone. This emerald green, as you can see here, and sorry for the condensation, I just turned off the AC. It's a beautiful color right there. And I love the wallpaper of this version right here. So it's a great phone, and it's 6.4 inches, so it's definitely a sizable screen. And the curve I actually don't mind on this phone as much as I thought I would. It's still a slight annoyance when you kind of open up one of, let's say, kind of a white background, that you do see a little bit of that green shifting there. But it's been a really good experience. But now we have the S10e, and haven't done like a full review of this phone. I do think that this is the perfect phone in terms of size for a certain kind of person. I think if you have smaller hands, or if you just kind of want to get a kind of better priced option of the latest Samsung series, this is going to be your best bet. And I can see a lot of people really liking this phone. It's got the same kind of snazzy design. You got this prism white version here, really nice, only with a dual rear camera though, and just a really premium feel. These phones feel more premium than the Xiaomi Mi 9, than the OnePlus 6T, than any of those phones. There's just something about the build, the buttons, just the quality that they put into this. You really feel it. And so I think this is a great option to consider here. And going down this kind of just the basic specs here, we got 6.4 inch display versus a 5.8 in the S10e. And we also have two different variations in terms of performance as well. So the S10 Plus that I have right here and the S10e are actually rocking different chips. And I'll show you the history. And it's very clear to see, at least in Geekbench, that these are two different chips. This is running the Exynos 9820. Meanwhile, the S10 Plus is running the Snapdragon 855. And I think you can clearly see in terms of multi-core, the 855 is running circles around the Exynos, but the Exynos really punches back here in the single-core category. And I've seen a bunch of different kind of benchmark tests that have shown that the 855 outperforms the Exynos 9820. I don't really have any qualms about recommending whichever chip. So if you're in a region that only has the Exynos version, don't feel bad about it. It's still a great chip. And look at these scores, man. They really show you how good a phone this is. Everything in terms of performance on the S10e is solid. But there's just that little extra speed on the Snapdragon 855 that I think any phone that has this chip in it is just going to be a killer performer. And I think that's what's so exciting about having this chip in kind of cheaper phones as we go into the year and we see kind of the release of the Pocophone F2 or the release of any kind of future phones. That's going to be exciting to see that Snapdragon 855 implemented there. Now, this ain't a cheap phone. This is definitely one of the most expensive phones that you can get. And so it better have really good performance, but it does not disappoint. And I don't know why I've kept the buttons here on this phone so far. I kind of switched over to the gestures on the S10e, but I haven't enjoyed the gestures on Samsung. So I may be switching this back to buttons in a second there. few other quick things I wanted to mention here. Looking at DRM info on both of these. This is the beauty of Samsung. You have L1 and L1. So L1, baby, all around here. It is a really welcome sight on both of these phones. And I think that's just the beauty of getting a phone that is so widely used around the world. You're going to be able to watch HD Netflix without a problem. And one last thing I want to do here is just test the speakers. I've tested the S10es, but I want to see how the S10 Pluses compare. So I'm going to move the mic down and let's have a listen. So just as I suspected, the S10e sounds really good, but the S10 Plus sounds even better. And there are dual speakers on this phone. It's coming out a little quieter on the top. The main speaker is clearly the bottom one here, but it does a pretty solid job, and I am pretty impressed. I gotta say, I'm just impressed. I did not think that Samsung made such good quality speakers, and I think in my previous Samsung experiences the speakers weren't anything amazing, but it looks like they've really stepped up their game here in that speaker department. So good work, Samsung. And so that is kind of it for this just quick look video here. Now just to really kind of wrap up with that question that I have here. Now in terms of camera, I think that is the other thing that I will be addressing, but mostly with the S10 Plus here, and I will be doing that full comparison versus the other Snapdragon 855 phones shortly. If you haven't seen my Xiaomi Mi 9 versus S10e comparison, go check it out. I did a pretty extensive camera test there, and I think the S10e has a really solid camera, and I was really impressed with it, but I will be doing that full camera comparison on the S10 Plus. So some of the shots I took the other day, really quality shots here. Now, there was just one moment where it got the bokeh wrong. It included this kid in my hair. That's not a kid growing out of my head there. But the other, they call it live focus here. Look at the edge detection there. It is really, really good. Now, it got a little lost here on the edge of the cup of the popcorn, but that is still a very nice shot, and I very much enjoyed that. And the wide angle that Samsung has included on not just this phone, but both the S10e and the S10 Plus is one of the widest wide angles. And so I've posted these photos on Twitter. So if you haven't followed me on Twitter, definitely go follow me on Twitter. Look how immersive that is. To just have this huge screen here. Look at that shot. That is just, are we living in the future, guys, or what? That is really, really incredible. So stay tuned for that full comparison, that Snapdragon 855 comparison coming up. But now to kind of answer this question, which of these two Samsung phones is worth your money? Well, the reality is they are both very expensive phones. I got this one for around 5,300 Hong Kong dollars. So it's in that, getting up to $700 price range. And the S10e I got for 6,700, getting up into that 800 to 900 price range. These phones are expensive, and when you have phones like the Xiaomi Mi 9, like the Mi 9 SE, and all these other really awesome options for almost half the price of these phones, they really need to be stellar. They need to be incredible. I think if you're in the States, or if you're kind of a fan of Samsung and you already know you're going to get these phones, then go for it. They are awesome phones, and it really is going to come down to just your preference of size. I really do think that the Mi 9 SE, and I want to put it right next to these two guys so you can see, is the perfect kind of compromise between these two. Now, it's a little bit similar in terms of size to the S10e here, but there is more screen here. There is an extra 0.2 of an inch of screen here, and I don't know what it is, but it just feels bigger. It just feels more immersive than the S10es. I think maybe it has something to do also with the bezels. They're a little bit bigger on the sides of this phone, but the S10 Plus is such a big screen in a phone that, because of the curve, fits much better in your hand. And I think, for you guys asking the question, why don't you get the S10? Why don't you review the S10? One, I do think, truly think the universe will implode if Frankie Tech buys 3 Samsung phones. But the other point is that I don't think that there's a need for it. There's no need when you have 2 awesome phones at these kind of sizes to really kind of look at the middle one. The S10 regular doesn't have the battery kind of improvements that the S10 Plus is showing. And I'm still testing the battery here, but I'm getting upwards of probably 10 hours of screen on time, if not more. I will do a full, test of this battery soon. But right now, I've charged this phone once since I got it. It's incredible. It's been lasting that long. It's amazing. So with the S10 Plus, you do get those battery benefits. You get the slightly bigger screen, but then with the S10e, you get the smaller phone in a really great package, and you just get a lot of benefit if you go small or if you go big, but you don't get, I think, that much of a benefit if you go in the middle. So this is really going to come down to your personal preference, which phone, which size you actually just prefer. I think for me, I'm probably going to stick with the S10 Plus, and the reason being, one, it's the Snapdragon 855 version of the phone. And then number 2, I do appreciate this display. Just the size of it, the immersiveness of it. And, call me a hypocrite because I'm the one who's trashed Edge displays more than anyone else. But for some reason, the edge on this display doesn't bother me. Now, will I be keeping this phone long term? I don't know the answer to that question because there's so many awesome option phones out there, and I want to keep investing in future releases so I can keep doing great content for you guys. But I do see my time with the S10e coming to an end pretty soon. But that is it for this quick comparison. Which of these 2 Samsung phone sizes do you prefer? And hit me up in the comments with any questions you have on these phones. The main thing coming up is that Snapdragon 855 battle. I'm getting all the camera stuff ready for that. I'm getting everything ready. And I appreciate, guys, once again, for your support on my first sponsored video, the Mi 9 versus Mi 9 SE. And, that was really just the first time doing that. So I really appreciate all the outpouring of love and support you guys have given me as I try to grow this channel bigger and better. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching, guys. Quick one take here, but just wanted to get some thoughts out to you. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Y'all have a good one.